What's up, everybody? It's your boy back with another reaction video, and I'll be reacting to three disturbing true birthday horror stories. This is from, I believe, Mr. Nightmare. So I will put a link in the description down below, so you can go check out his channel yourself. Go over there, like, comment, subscribe. Over there, he does really good horror narration videos. So, anywho. I'm just gonna get it. I'm trying to not talk as much. I know it's annoying. Trust me, it kind of annoys me sometimes too when I watch reactors and they talking like a lot through the whole reaction. But I might have to start talking more during reaction and less, and especially these during the beginning. I mean, I may try to hold a lot of stuff to the end. As far as like these reactions, I might pause the video. Maybe depends on how I feel. If it's something I really want to say, and I know it's gonna take me a while to say it, I might pause it. But anyway, we'll see how this goes. We'll just go off script, see how it goes. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. But anyway, here we go.
For my friend Ryan's 21st birthday, I threw him a surprise party at my house. I invited all of our friends in our group, plus some acquaintances and friends of friends who were brought along. My parents weren't home for the night, so it worked out
They got
nicely.
alcohol.
The peak of the night was when Ryan walked in the door and all of us got to scream surprise. It was a Friday night, so mostly everyone drank a decent amount. I tried not to get too drunk, just so I could stay alert in case anyone was doing something dumb in my parents' house. We had cake and other desserts set up.
I've never had that. Like, I've heard of people
I did a lot
drinking
of
beer
walking around offering
with
cake
Monster.
and beers to everyone, even people I'd never met before,
or vodka,
including one guy with long blonde hair and
Red
a
Bull
football
or
shirt
vodka.
sitting on my couch, and some dude who looked a few years older sitting on my grandma's old rocking chair that she gave to my mom. I whispered into Ryan's ear at some point that half these random dudes that our friends brought over looked either kind of creepy or odd. He agreed with me, a bit over-enthusiastically, but that's probably because he was a lot drunker than I was. The night progressed and everyone got drunker, and everyone was doing increasingly silly and dumb things. The guy who was still in the rocking chair started to hum a song really loudly and obnoxiously. The rest of us just watched and found it hilarious for some reason.
Because y'all were drunk.
Then the guy with the long blonde hair started to sing a completely different song, and everyone else kind of just joined along. It was a room full of drunk 20-something-year-olds singing very loudly. It was a fun time.
They all of
Eventually
age, I guess.
The people started leaving one by one as they sobered up. A couple of people stayed the night because they were too drunk to drive, including Ryan and our friend Sean. I slept in the living room with them. We left the TV on, with the movie The Hangover on in the background. I suddenly thought to ask the two, who were those two guys who had been in the living room? It was a friend of one of our other friends, but as far as the guy in the rocking chair, neither of them had a clue. I decided to text everyone. It seemed everyone assumed he knew someone there, but apparently that wasn't the case. I was waiting on two more friends to answer, but I was pretty sure one of them had to have known him. Anyway, Sean and Ryan fell asleep quickly, so I decided to go to sleep too.
Sure?
I woke up an hour later though, I guess to the sound of the TV. I checked my phone, which was sitting on my chest. There were a bunch of texts from the group chat. To put it short, every single person in the group chat said they had no idea who that was. I sat up to let that sink in better. Some random, creepy-looking older dude snuck into my house and hid in plain sight for hours. I suddenly looked around the living room.
Because everybody just assumed as, oh, he's friends with somebody else.
It felt as if my entire house was unsafe and that we weren't alone. I quietly stepped out from the living room towards the kitchen. I went over to the tiny hall that separates the kitchen from the 3 bedrooms on the first floor, still using the glow from the TV in the living room as my light source to navigate. I think because I didn't want to draw attention, I guess. I stepped into the hall and froze. I was pretty sure I could see something at the end of the hall.
Oh, fuck.
It was too dark, though. I took a couple steps forward, and it became more clear that there was a person standing there at the end of the hall. And to make it even worse, I heard a faint, low, cackling kind of laugh at the far end of the hall.
I knew he was about to do a laugh.
I slowly backed away without acting fazed at all.
Okay, so the dude's
Meanwhile,
crazy?
I felt like my heart dropped to my stomach. I got back to the living room and shook my two friends awake. I whispered to them that someone was in the house with us. I got on the phone with the police and talked as low as I could into the phone so that the woman on the other end could still hear me. And as I was on the phone, I saw the creepy guy from earlier, the guy who was on the rocking chair all night, suddenly walk out to the living room, look at us sitting there, passed us, and walked out the front door. I was literally frozen. I think my friends were too.
Scary.
I told the 911 operator that the intruder just left my house. She said lock all the doors and we should be fine. A cop came by for a few minutes just to check in. After he left, my friends and I found a trail of blood stains on the carpet in the hallway. The stains led to the end of the hall, where I saw him standing. Then it just stopped. Needless to say, no sleep was had that night.
Oh, did he cut himself? See, that's why you stand. If you live, that's how you stand there and you have the door locked. And
Sure,
you
we
let
all have
people
those
in.
memories
So you
from
like,
our
who are you?
childhood that make us uncomfortable to think about. How we were so young and innocent and unknowing to something bad that was about to happen. I was in the first grade. It was either a Friday or Saturday night. All I know is we didn't have school the next day. My friend's mom set up a little party for his birthday at a local bowling alley. All his friends and their parents were there, and we were sectioned off into different lanes to play with different groups. I wasn't having a lot of fun, mainly because I stunk at bowling, and still do to this day. I remember complaining and crying to my mom that I didn't want to play anymore, and I think one of the kids started taking my turn for me. There was a back room sectioned off for the party with a bunch of snacks, sweets, and sodas. So while my mom was talking to some of the other parents, I think that's when I snuck to that back room to fill my stomach with cupcakes and other sweets. There was a door leading to the outside in this room. It led to the back of the building, I guess. And the next thing I remember was the moment a man was standing at the doorway telling me to come outside and check something out.
Oh, boy.
To this day, it still makes me cringe, thinking back and remembering that I actually listened to the random man and went out there. Upon stepping outside, the man knelt down to my level so that we were face to face. Then he pointed at a truck that was running, maybe 5 yards away.
Wow.
I remember he said he had the rest of the sweets and snacks in the back
So
of
he
his
just
truck,
sit out there
and
waiting
he
for a
needed help
kid to
unloading
come
it.
out there by
He also
themselves?
offered to give me a $20 reward if I helped him. Now, I'm sure in my 6-year-old mindset, I was thinking about how cool I'd look, and how jealous all the other kids would be. I followed the man to his truck.
Yeah,
he opened
you're
the back door for
6-year-olds.
me and pointed at a big black plastic bag sitting in his back seat. I climbed into the truck, and the next thing I remember was the horrific, ear-piercing scream of a woman. It was my mom, standing at the back doorway of the bowling alley, screaming my name over and over. I ran to my mom, who grabbed me and held me tight as I heard the sound of tires skidding out, followed by a truck speeding away. I turned to look, and the truck was already gone. My mom was in tears, scolding me. A few other parents and kids came out, and it turned into a huge scene. It was a traumatizingly embarrassing experience for me. The bowling alley had to shut operations for the night, and the party had to be cut short. I've asked my mom about this story so many times. She said the police arrived after my dad picked me up, and my mom told the police everything I told her. She also got a decent look at the man and his truck, so she gave a description to the police as well. Unfortunately, nothing was ever heard as far as the police catching him. All I have to say is, if any of you are parents, burn the phrase "don't talk to strangers" into your kids' heads.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's just sitting out there with his truck running, waiting for a kid.
For my son's 12th
By
birthday,
himself.
my wife and I threw him a little party in the backyard. We invited the whole family, as we usually did for any of our kids' birthdays, and let him invite all of his friends too. We live in rural New Jersey, so our backyard connects to forest on 2 sides.
That's a
We
big ass
also have a pretty
backyard.
big
Remind me of
property, which
Mississippi.
allowed us to space out a bunch of tables on the grass with food and refreshments. The little party went into the night. Most of our guests left, but closer family and some of our friends stayed late. It was probably 8 o'clock. The mosquitoes were out in full force, so I decided to run over to the shed at the far end of the backyard by the woods to fetch the tiki torches. I grabbed like 6 torches and set them on the grass while I went back in to look for fuel. However, while I was in the shed, I heard steps in the woods. I stopped what I was doing to take a look out there, but honestly, it was just too dark to see out into the woods. After finding the fuel, I went back to the part of the yard everyone else was at and pitched the torches into the ground. The 6 torches gave off a decent amount of light while keeping us safe from the blood-sucking pests. There were about 6 kids left, including my son, and they all wanted to play hide-and-seek in the woods. My wife and I allowed it, just making sure to tell them to stay close to the tree line. My son and his friends went to play their little game in the woods, which left the rest of us to sit in peace for a little bit. It was a solid 15 minutes of talking with relatives and hearing the kids laughing and yelling in the near distance out in the woods. But all of a sudden, the yelling turned to screams, concerning sounding screams from the kids. All of us looked at each other, sitting up in concern. The kids one by one came running out of the woods, yelling that there's something in there. We don't have bears or any big predatory animals around here, so that was not the first thing we assumed it to be. I told all the kids to stay near the patio area. My brother Dom and I, being the biggest men there, decided to go investigate. We took a couple flashlights and off we went into the pitch black woods. The only sounds we heard around us were crickets and other night bugs.
I don't give a damn how big you are. You should have. You had a gun.
That's when we started to hear
a
something
knife,
else.
something.
It sounded like an animal at first, but as we followed the sound to get closer, the sound started to become more human-like. We continued to walk, and we agreed we both had the feeling that we were being watched.
That sounded human-like.
I put my arm out to stop Dom. Standing in the silence now, the best way I could describe the sound we were hearing
It was the
a
rake.
moaning, angry kind of sound. It sounded human, but it was a bizarre sound. Then, a few cracks of the leaves on the ground ahead of us. We aimed our lights over there, and there was someone or something behind the tree. The moaning sound stopped. Dom stepped forward and called out. What happened next was textbook horror movie stuff. A scream, so loud, so blood-curdling, so inhuman, filled the air. I'm sure it could be heard for miles.
Boy.
Dom and I turned and booked it back to the property.
Yes, I would.
We waved at everyone to go inside when we made it back.
All in.
Dom got on the phone with the sheriff's department. He said it was probably a wild animal.
I'd run so fast that it looked like I teleported.
Human, but we honestly couldn't. We to this day don't know who or what we saw and heard in those woods, but it was definitely stalking us and the kids when they were playing hide and seek. And that scream we heard, it just didn't sound human to us.
I'm telling you, it was a rake. It was the rake, as they call it. Yeah, I don't know what they were doing. Like, you gonna run out in the woods just because you big. Like, being big don't mean shit. You run out there and somebody got a weapon or if they better fighter than you or whatever. Like, I don't know, okay, get a knife, a bat, something that I have. So I have a weapon. Because even if that was, like, I don't know what it was out there, but if it's a person and I come out there and they pull out a knife and all I got is my hand with some fucking skin on it, like, all I could do is run and hope to God that they are not faster than me. Like, you go right there because you big, like, fuck. No weapon, just run out there. But yeah, that, if I would have heard that shit, it would have been instant. Like, I wouldn't even thought about it. It just been, my body would have just turn 180 degrees and I would just start running, hard jumping over trees like the parkouring through. I don't care. I hear some shit like that in the woods. I don't even need to hear that. That's over. That's actually too much. Like if I just hear footsteps, I'm like, all right. If I'm thinking if I'm out in the woods and I stop moving, and also I hear footsteps and they sound like a human being, I don't give a damn what they sound like. They sound like an animal, like walking. I don't care. I am gone. Turning right back around, direction I was going, just hauling ass back that way. Like hell no. And that first story, I don't know. Like that's like I said, that's when you at somebody's house. When you throw something at your house, you are basically the doorman. Like you keep that door locked, or you stand near the door, or something, or you tell people like, hey, uh, when people come in here, let me know so I can see who they are or something, or you just stand near the door or whatever. That way you can be like, oh, who are you? Because I've been to parties where at people's houses, first person that comes up to me is somebody that lives there or someone who's a close friend of the people that live there, and they saw me come in, and they're like, who are you? Usually I say usually I've always come with someone who invited me and they know that person. But if I go to someone's house like that, like, you go, you go, and you at that door, making sure you screening everybody who comes in. And be like, who are you? I don't know who you are, and you're not here with it. Like, does anybody know him? And who invited him or her? And you like, all right, well, everybody, but you got to leave. I've actually seen that go down where someone came in, or they came to the door, and the person opened the door. The door was locked, obviously, and they came to the door, and they didn't know who the person. I remember I was standing because they had moved all their furniture out of their living room so people could stand in the living room. They pushed all their furniture up against the walls, and I was standing because I remember he opened the door and I couldn't see who it was because the door opened like this, and I was on like this door, and I could hear the guy because at first I just saw the door open. I was still talking with somebody, and I could just hear like, "Who are you?" And he's like, he's like, "Who are you with? Who are you here with?" And it's when I heard that, I instantly like looked over, because I'm like curious, like, because I had met the guy. He got a house. The guy who owned the house. He's a nice guy. I met his girlfriend. He had a kid who was in their back room. They had come out, and they he was a nice little kid, funny little kid. And I remember, so I walked kind of like up to the door, like my shoulder to the door, like because the door was like here. He was standing at the door. He like, does anybody know him? And he's like, sorry man, you can't come in. And the guy kind of just standing. He's like, oh man, come on, y'all know me. And I was like, and I can't remember. He said somebody invited him, and I think the guy, can you see? I don't know anybody that name, or because I think at this point the guy was just like, listen, like, I don't know who you are, and everyone's in the living room, and no one know you. Well, some people in the kitchen, but he was just like, cause I don't think he liked the guy, and the guy started kind of almost like stepping right up to the threshold of the door, like he was just gonna walk, like he force his way in. And I remember I came around the corner and a bunch of other dudes like would just walk up instantly and would just standing behind. like, like we just all bounced, just standing behind. It's like several guys just came up, and they was like, "Dude," they was like, "You want to go, man?" And then he said something. Like I can't remember because somebody said he said the N word or something. Because it was a white guy. And one thing I thought when I saw the guy, I was like, this guy's much older than anybody here. Cause we were all like in like our 20s. I think it was a chick that I know. she was like 32 or something at that time, and but pretty much most of the people that were like in their either early, like they were like in their 20s. So most no one was there that was over probably the age of like 35 or something. And so when this guy came, because he was like old looking guy, he was probably in his 40s, maybe late 40s, maybe early 50s. So I was like, who? And when I saw him, I was like, oh, but I was like, hey, maybe he's somebody, because I was in the military at the time. I was like, so you could party with. I mean, I've been to places, well, clubs, not like an actual party. I mean, I've been to, home gatherings and like really parties with people who were much older than me, but not like this. Like this was a party, and he said I couldn't hear him, but someone said he said the N word, and they walked outside, and I was like, wow, you have to go out there, and I don't know what transpired, but I did hear some yelling, and the guy came. The two guys went out there, and they came back in, and they were talking to the guy who lived there, and I didn't. They was at the front door. I hadn't walked to the back by then, like near the kitchen, and I was just because I was because as long as I was like, I want the guy to come in, because I don't know who that was or what was going on. And I saw him, I was like, this definitely. He kind of looked like disheveled too, like I don't know, he was homeless, because it's like he has, I don't know, dirt or something on his face. Cause he might have a mental illness or something. He was just trying to. He saw a bunch of people, him like walking in, a lot of noise, all the lights were on. Outside, cause the dude had like the porch light on. He had like a big light on over his garage in front of his like driveway and going and led into his garage. He had a light on the side of the house on, the lights in the back, and some people were like standing in the backyard. All the lights on were in the house, and it was hot, so he had all the windows open. Cause he's like, "How you turn right?" Well, I probably wouldn't do it either. All those people, it'd be so hot in there. But and like I said, it was hot. 'Cause this was it was sometime in the summer or spring, something like that. But yeah. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed my reaction. And if you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Hit that bell. You'll be notified when I upload new videos. Comment down below. Share this video. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.